But I just want to make sure that you realize that here's the worst case scenario. About 95 miles west-northwest of here, there's a district where the board chair does the superintendent evaluation every year. And it's not a good model. One person shouldn't be doing that. There's not only enough data points, but there's not enough visibility. So I'm going to suggest this is about the most comprehensive model you'll think of. I want you to consider it at some point. If you say, hey, you know what, why don't you two board members take this and refine it or bring back a suggestion or go research it? You can do it. But I'm going to suggest to you that the groups that actually provide feedback to the leader about he or she is doing on the things that are important to them get more out of the leader. And there's a better process between board and leader.
We've done board evaluations, but not tied in every days or every 90 days, and not. I'm not envisioning this or seeing this as much as an evaluation of Jerry directly, like your annual evaluation has been. But where are we with those three things?
Exactly.
And it's kind of a self-evaluation as you're telling us, okay, we're not getting there. Now we may need to sit down and have a 6-month formal evaluation saying, hey, last 6 months we haven't been going where we should be going. Because it's evident in your reports or whatever it is.
And again, and what's the board role to make the change happen? And what's the soup role? It's all of you working together as opposed to, well, we come here once or twice a month and good luck with that. There's really two players here. To this point, we've worked through very quickly some material on boards and also material on soup and board feedback and evaluation. What I want to do is spend a few minutes and explain the strategic planning project that you have underway now and show you what it'll look like. The funnel on page 12, those are the steps you go through doing a strategic plan. There are actually some articles written in the last 5 years that suggest that a strategic plan for a district should take between 15 and 18 months. And my response is, what are you talking about? I can get a $100 million company through a strategic plan in 4 hours. So all the rest of the time is just trying to make it perfect. And what you want when you're done with a plan is a really good plan. You don't want perfect, because you don't have enough time to make it perfect. If you get really good and you monitor and adjust on a regular basis, you're cooking. So every one of the items here, let me just show you very quickly. In the sessions at school buildings, they will go through soft data and vision and priorities, as will your community. And the idea is we're going to be asking people to identify, as the same way you did, what's working and not working from their perspective. Right? So we'll get this back from employees. We're also going to have employees identify vision, where they think the district should be 5 years from now, and they're going to drill down and get specific about things they think need to come to the front burner, not all the way down to the goal level. Let me show you the steps. We've already done 13. Again, this is the tool that we use to have people diagnose with their hard on the problems, easy on the people, what's working and not working. 14 lists some sample vision and mission statements. Vision's the most important. You guys, Sun Prairie is a little east of Madison, Wisconsin, a real growing district, real white collar. Scotland, South Dakota has 49 employees in the district, right? So on page 14 here, these are just examples of what people said we want to be when we grow up. This was their take on what it should look like 5 years from now. On page 15, this is a worksheet we'll be using in the employee sessions and in the community sessions, where we'll have people identify new vision and then drill down to a very specific list of front burner items called priorities. These aren't goals yet, but if a priority is continue RTI, or improve ELL, or pass another referendum, or give iPad to more kids, or whatever, you can actually set goals underneath it. What you'll get, board, when it's done, is you'll get one of these from every session we run. So you'll get one of these from every building, plus the community. So the time that we get together for the final session, you can lay them all down and say, oh, thanks. A lot of people had some input. We're the board. We'll pick what we want. And just for example, rarely do I hear from employees or community members strong fiscal stewardship, but that typically becomes a board goal, whether it's listed on the other people's or not. But what you're doing is you're going to have, how many employees involved, do you think, on this? Best guess?
Well, all 750 have the opportunity. I don't know how many will show up.
Well, you're going to get 300 plus people's input.
At the building level,
Yep.
It's a required meeting.
Which makes that maybe 400.
Yeah. I mean, it's required, the
Yeah.
principals are requiring them to attend.
So you're going to have a lot of people that, number one, know you're undertaking this. Number two, are going to see you complete this in less than 3 weeks. And finally, they're going to go, yeah, well, I got heard. You know, they didn't have to do it my way, but they were nice enough to ask. So you'll get these from everybody. You, as a board, will eventually come up with very specific goals on page 16. The administration will come back and tidy these up with you. And then, let me take you to page 17, because I think this is something that somebody spoke about earlier. This is kind of the My Job, Your Job worksheet. And what ends up happening is board and administration get through this. So down the columns there, where it says 1, you write in board. Number 2, soup. Number 3, a district office staff. Number 4, principals. Number 5, teachers. Number 6 is other. Could be your custodians, it could be your service cooperative, it could be a vendor. But this is where you map out, this is your one-page cheat sheet to the strategic plan when you're all done. And people identify what they're supposed to do. And at this point, then, you've got a lot to talk about at the very beginning of every board meeting under old business. Let me also show you what another district has done recently, which I think is pretty cool. That the chainsaw planning, the grid on page 16, those individual work plans, what their board did what you are about to do, where they're going to have employees participate as well as a community. Their board got it down to five really key goals. Their buses are on time, so they didn't write a transportation goal. Their pool doesn't leak, so they didn't write a pool goal. But what they do is every time the board gets together, they pull out their colored sheets. And they go through, and again, if I can take you back to page 16 there, where you can see it right in front of you, the two most important boxes are timeline and responsibility. So timeline, December 1, name, Liz. Liz, how are we doing on that? Liz goes, I'm gifted and talented, got it done already. You know, okay? And Pam, I see you're next, and you're supposed, and your activity for that objective should be done on January 8th. Pam goes, got to hold up with the vendor, we won't have it until January 12th, okay? Well, Jerry, you're listed as a third, will that push back? And Jerry goes, no, we can still use February 28th on that. So the idea here is, every time the board gets together, first item under old business is, where are we on the things that we said were most important? They spend 20 to 30 minutes making sure things are getting done the right way. Then they go into the remaining old business and then into new business. This is the one-page cheat sheet you can give to anybody. Chamber, business, surrounding superintendents, anybody you collaborative business with. And every time you put vendor in the far right column, the vendor needs to do what you want them to do, not necessarily what they think is best, because you already know where you're going. So you guys identify down here the results of planning and get pretty articulate about who's going to do what. So as of right now, I think we have 182 people that have responded to the community survey and 100 and some to the staff. So, any questions about the planning project and next steps? Because I want you to have just enough knowledge to be dangerous on this, so you can answer a few questions without having to answer all the questions. Or what should they know?
Well, I'm not sure, because we have a mix of the old and the new, or the incoming and outgoing.
Okay.
Because if we get much more specific, that really becomes the new board task.
146 community and 82 employee, or 82 employee. I don't know if that's teaching everybody.
And the survey's over, right?
Survey's closed at this point.
Yeah.
Questions, comments? What can we backfill for you regarding the planning project to add a little value to you?
Bruce, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Bruce, I'm wondering, as you work through these processes, and we talk about strategic plans, organizations talk about them all the time, how frequent should a strategic plan be updated? When I see things like this, I like this, but I also see on this, there's a point where you're going to check it off. So how often do you see a strategic plan needing to be updated in an organization like ours?
Let me kind of draw this for you. let's just say that you end up with 6 priorities.
That'd be too many, by the way.
All right, then we're going to do 4. So
We can always have 8, as long as they get done.
I can tell you some districts have 114, they never get anything done.
Yeah.
Again, if the pool doesn't leak, don't write a pool goal, right? So let's just say under priority 1, you set a goal, and we're going to finish in December, and you want it to start in January, and you want it to be done in June. On the second one, you're not actually going to start till March, and it's going to take you till November. And the third one, it's really short. You're going to start it in January, it'll be done in March. And under the 4th priority, you're going to start in February, and you're probably not done till September. At any given board meeting, you should be able to say, where are we? So the February board meeting, 1/3 of the way done, got the rocket launching pad, halfway done, just started. Okay, now we're out here at the March meeting. Well, we're 3/4 done, we're 20% of the way along. Board, number 1, do we keep this as a priority? Yeah? Now let's set our new goal, right? So maybe by July, whatever, you guys just make sure you still have the right priorities on board. But I think if the priorities are cool, you just keep loading up goals that take however much time you need. And as a board, I'd rather have you studying 4, 5, or 6 things than 19 things. I mean, I look at strategic plans for districts sometimes that are this thick, and I got news for you. Nobody reads them. If it's down to 4 or 5 pages, you can really make some progress.
Well, and you stay focused.
I think it makes it easier. I mean, I think that's the way you run a business. Other questions or comments right now about getting the planning project up and running?
Hey, can you answer the question, though?
Well, did I?
How often do you do a strategic plan was the
I
ultimate
guess, yeah, the
question.
follow-up to that would be, so let's just say that goal number 3, we say it's done. Do we add a new number 3, or at what point do we reevaluate that?
So again, in priority 3, we set a short-term goal for 2 months.
Yep.
Then you guys, at the end of 2 months, you say, do we keep this priority or replace it? And if it's the same one, let's set a new goal. If it's a new one, let's set a new goal. So at any board meeting, you should be able to get an update on where you are on these 4 key items.
So a strategic plan then, by what you're defining, we
Just
could have
keep
4
going.
right now, and a year down the road have 2 that are similar, 2 that are on that list, and 2 brand new ones.
Absolutely.
And that's how we just keep moving forward with it.
So on
Okay.
page 12 here, from priorities down, you're doing these all the time.
Okay.
Once in a while, maybe once every 2 years, you go back and make sure vision is going right. By the way, you're going to get a tremendous amount of capital out of asking employees and community members to get involved with planning. And personal lobbying here, if each of you agreed to make 3 calls to influential people in the community and say, we'd like to have you at the session, that's a big deal. So if you decide that you want to ask the city administrator and the guy that plows your street and your minister, have at it. Or a big business in the chamber, big business not in the chamber, but I think for you guys to put together a strategic list of people that you want, even if they say no, when you go back to them and show them the results, they've got a little more interest. And a call from a board member or a school administrator is a big deal. That's just one guy's opinion.
And that's in preparation for our December 5th session.
No, that you want them here December 5th, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right, but you're
Right.
kind of invite them to December.
invite-
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like I've taught to mastery. There are no questions, right?
I have a question.
Jump in, Pam.
Okay, and this is because I've heard you present numerous times. Why is it called chainsaw plan?
Oh,
I've always been curious, and I can never take this and push our chainsaw and figure out how it fits.
when I left St. Cloud State, I realized that doing planning for schools and businesses was going to be my future. And if I tell anybody anywhere I do strategic planning, they can't walk away fast enough. But if I go chainsaw planning, they go, hey, what's that? And then I got them for at least another 30 seconds. So it's just pure marketing.
So there's nothing to do with chainsaw.
No, I hope not.
I've been trying to
I have
figure
had
it
people
out.
show up in camo when it wasn't hunting season. But no, we will not be using any OSHA unapproved devices.
I think the big difference between the way you have planning set up and the way we've done it in the past was that we tried to have broad overarching goals that lasted for 5 years and then fit the stuff underneath it. And what you have is that you adjust those things over the course of those 5 years. It's more of a living, breathing document than what we've had in the past. We did make adjustments, and it was a lot shorter after I got here than it was before I got here. But I think that it allows us to move faster, which is a good deal given the nature of what our business is like now.
I think too that once staff at the building use some of these tools, they tend to repeat using them, inside of the system. This is not real difficult stuff. Once people see it, they're like, I know how to do that. And I think it's a good decision-making tools and filters to continue to advance what goes on at the district and in all the parts of your operation.
And I think just to let you know, we did invite, I think Nate said he got the letter about the December 5th meeting and the surveys 3 times. The chamber sent it out to everybody, and I'm going to probably ask them again to send out an invitation to the December 5th meeting to everybody who's a member of the chamber, and we'll do the same thing with all the parents in the district.
You got it 3 times from the chamber?
No, 3 times collectively.
Yeah.
Good, that's great coverage.
Wow.
And again, what they're
Wasn't
going
the
to do...
survey going to be open until November 29th, or was it the 26th?
I don't know, whatever he said.
Okay.
We closed it a week ago. If we need to open it up, or if other people want to have feedback, we can certainly make it open.
I believe the district published that it was going to be open until November 29th or the 26th, which would be today.
I'll check before I go out of here to make sure. The numbers so far, they're what we've got. And by the way, trends are pretty strong, and it was interesting. Under the thin cover of anonymity, people write some really interesting things. Nobody took a shot here. Nobody said I wouldn't stop for her in a crosswalk, or he's cutting up pigs in the office. People were hard.
I wish you'd find a different analogy.
Practicing witchcraft. No, but people were clear about things they wanted to see fixed, but they did it without blaming, which is really interesting, because I go to some places where the results are really, really radioactive. And people here clearly want to see some change, but they also said there are a number of things working well. Other questions or comments or concerns about getting the strategic plan project off the ground?
One thing I heard you say was, did you say hard on problems, easy on people? I like that. Could you say a little more about?
I can't tell you where I heard it, but it's a great line. It was a person running a large meeting, and he said, what we have to do here is get real hard on the problem, easy on the people, because it isn't about blame, it's about moving forwards. So it's diagnose where we are and figure out what to do, as opposed to urinate and moan about, who did something wrong in the past.
That kind of goes with what you were just saying about so far with the surveys coming in, not really going after.
There were a couple where people were a little heated about the pace of change. I don't know.
Are we going too slow? Or?
How's every kid doing at reading so far? You got them all nailed down? Keep pushing. It's hard work. And without a board, very briefly, we also did an administrative session as a retreat. September, August?
August.
And we went through 3 really big pieces. We went through preferred leadership styles. Everybody in the room took a leadership inventory. And people identified preferred leadership styles individually and collectively, and then we looked at the bosses. We also went through a conflict tool, and we found out the conflict styles used individually, not that we have to remember everybody else's, but everybody else learned their own, what the group's tendencies were, and then what the bosses were. And I've been married to one person for 26 years, and we don't always see eye to eye. That's pretty hard to believe. But imagine putting 22 people in that room. I don't know how many.
Yeah, I think so.
So I will tell you, there are people who came up to me after and said, by the way, he is cutting up goats on the altar. And the guy saved. I said, well, that rock ain't going to my... that's interesting. If you talk to Jerry about it. So I don't know, how many employees do you have total here?
700.
370.
Teachers, but 700 employees.
700 employees.
I don't think they've all had the Kool-Aid yet. There are going to be some people that are not on board with decision 14B that you make next week, and they're not going to be involved with the exact color for the school logo, and they might not be happy about Jerry, and they might not be happy about their principal, and they might not be happy about page 38 of the contract. I think the real difficult part with board work is pushing very, very, very hard and getting things to happen for kids and families and community, and trying to figure out what the appropriate amount of white noise is in the system. Because you just can't make everybody happy in this job. It's just not possible. You can't make change and ask people to come along willingly. A lot of people will, but there are people that won't, and they're the first people to call. Boy, there was some editorial you were looking for, huh? Value add.
I don't see any date on our website that it's due by.
Oh, okay.
At all, period, none. So,
I bet it was in the email we sent out, that may be,
because if you go to our website, go to survey, you can still submit it.
yeah.
Okay.
Is it still open? It's not open now, is it?
Right. No, it's open.
Okay, let's talk after and put a closer date
Yeah.
so people understand what the date is.
Yeah.
It was published in the Cardinal Connection. It was published in the Cardinal Connection.
As long as we honor whatever's been sent out there. The goal, I guess, right? That'd be the goal.
That would be the piece.
We had a request, but I'm not sure what happened.
The goal
What's
would
that?
be whatever was published, we need to honor that date.
It's, I haven't heard anything from the collaborative. Because I told them to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, they asked in the front if they could do it, and that's why we invited it.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything since. It's only 2 questions, it shouldn't have been too long.
Yeah.
Right.
But I thought they would have gotten a hold of you.
No comment yet.
Okay. I'll talk to them tomorrow.
Any other questions, comments, concerns?
So, do you do you ask the administration to do a strategic plan does administration have a strategic plan as well? Not different from the district, but things that they're working on that, you know what I mean?
Good. Good.
Their
Their goals, what's that?
They should have a department work plan.
Well, what, I mean,
Here's another way that a board can ask for the results to come back. So, show me what you're doing at this building, and this building, and this building, and in title, and in special ed, and ELL. I mean, you could literally say to the administration, now we know what our goals are, and we've got one of these so the board knows what they're doing in the soup. Could we also have it by building and by program? In St. Cloud, the principals believe that they do not have to have building goals that align with the district goals. I find that a little unorthodox, but that's just me.
It would be significantly different in Willmar.
Well, it seems to me if we're all got the boats pointing in the same direction, we're going to go a little further.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay to say, okay, so this elementary, show us what you're doing on these initiatives, and that elementary, middle school, and high school, and again by department. There may be additional work that's going, so for example, somebody else is doing something. Not everything you're doing in the district's on here. The big things are on here that you
Right.
think are most important. But, you could say at one point, hey, maintenance, would you come in and tell us what's going on with that? And it wouldn't be on this. The technology may have some things that are reflected on this, maybe they're column 5, but they might have 3 other things that they're working on, sure. But I think in terms of getting everybody rowing in the same direction, I want to really see what's going on in all the departments, all the buildings on the top 4 or 5 things we pick. And by the way, you're the principal at the high school. You may have 3 other things you're working on, right? I mean, you're also trying to keep things under control, and you're going to try rolling this out, and you're going to try rolling that out. Great. But we sure have to get you on board on these 6 things. If you as a building pick 2 or 3 other things, cool. We hope you're doing stuff, but make sure you're doing the stuff that we all think is really important.
but it just seems like, if you ask a department manager to give us your 5-year plan, 3-year plan, it's got to coincide with the company's plans, but they also have their own plans that they're working on.
Some magic.
We don't see that currently. We don't see that. What is Mr. Cox's 5-year plan? What's his?
Yeah, he may have some other stuff.
Right.
Each of these departments. So here's what I'm supposed to be doing for the strategic plan, Jerry. Jerry, here's what I'm doing in my job description, and by the way, here's 3 other things we're taking on in technology that aren't on the plan, but Geez, we gotta get these done. Yeah, you're right. I think the model fits. Other questions?
I think it'd be very beneficial.
You will get a lot of capital out of it. I mean, there were a lot of people, they'll also be filling out an evaluation like I'll ask you to do here. And people are going to say, you know what, thanks for asking. And they'll never expect all of their answers to be the ones that get picked, but they're going to say, thanks for asking. That's a big deal. So please think very, very hard about who you want to invite. And again, even if people say no, when you follow up the conversation with them about what happened, they're more likely to listen. I would also have your local representatives and senators. I'd invite them. They may not show up, but you're more likely to get your call returned the next time because you offered the opportunity to them.
They might now.
More excitement here. So on the thinner packet tonight, the agenda, the thinner packet, the last page is an evaluation form. If you would tear that off and fill it out, it would give me a little real-time data about how it went for you. I will type these up and send them back. We'll turn it back to the superintendent and board chair for whatever's going to happen next.
Do you have an email?
Sure, Bruce at bigrivergroup.com.
Can I email you this instead of writing it out tomorrow?
could.
If I give you a time frame?
I just happen to know that if I walk out here with them, I get them.
You can call me, and if you don't get it, you will get it.
I'll try
I
to
just,
get it.
I just,
Understood,
I think there's things like this that take a little more thought than 30 seconds.
understood. Anybody else that hasn't done, I'll pick them up on the way out the door. Anything else?
No, I don't think so. I think we're all set for buildings, and we're all set for January.
You're on the way?
So give us, I guess I did, give it, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
What's the
Give us your,
timeline?
give us your 90-day, 180-day plan for this. Give us your, what, other than December 5th, then what?
Well, what you'll do in December is you'll collect all the information from employees and community, correct? This group will come back then in January and take a look at all the results and pick your...
With your assistance? Is what I'm
Correct,
hearing.
yes.
Okay, yep.
Yep, that'll be about a 3-hour session. You'll identify, out of all the vision elements that you see, you'll pick the best parts and set the 5-year vision for what you want it to look like. Out of all the priorities you see, plus your own experiences, you'll pull the right priorities forward. You'll also benchmark each of those priorities. So if one is better ELL services, you'll tell us in general what it ought to look like. Then administration will come back with blueprints to get your work done. So you'll also be able to say to everybody participating in planning, this is not going on till death do us part. You know, we're going to start this, we did the survey in the fall, we had all our meetings in December, and in January we'll close this thing out and be ready to put it in place. I think you'll actually gain capital with that too. Does that help?
Perfect.
All right, we're making progress. Anything else on the agenda tonight?
That'd be it.
Anybody have questions for Mr. Miles?
People now know if they don't ask questions, it goes faster. Is it? Good learning.
Well, this would be about the longest work session they've had.
Thanks for having me in. We'll see you in the next couple of weeks and make some progress here.
Thank you.
Oh, just one thing, board members. If a board member, board chair, or superintendent wants to walk into any building and sort of kick off the session, you know, sit up in front and say, hey, by the way, glad to be here. You know, we got 5 or 6 sessions going on. Just want to say hi at one of them. Thanks for your work. That's well received. Don't feel like you have to stick around. But for somebody to see one of you to say hi, that's a cool thing. I've added, we'll build them in the schedule if we can make it.
2 of them are at 7:15 in the morning.
And there will be donuts and coffee, right? So that's kind of...
Negatory good, buddy. They're gonna bring their own.
Then, when do those start?
You're gonna send us a
Because then
schedule.
we need to get on that list.
Just hold on.
Well, we can serve you some fine breakfasts in those buildings.
Yes, we can.
Just don't spill on the carpet.
Yeah, just, yeah, whatever goes back in the bin.
Wilmer, Wednesday, the 5th,
Wednesday, the 5th in the morning at 7:15 at Roosevelt.
So Jan will send out an email when those
Did
meetings
you
are.
just send that to us, so?
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then,
Aren't we supposed to just attend those?
what?
All of them?
Well, maybe not all of them, but the evening one?
The evening one, he's talking about the
The building
employee
ones.
building ones.
Right.
there are 2 on the 5th and 2 on Monday, the 10th.
Well, actually, you have 3 on the 5th. You've got the evening
And
one.
evening,
To
okay.
join in,
Yeah.
didn't you say join in with this?
So how many, is it
So we do
just
go to
4
the
total,
other
you're not
ones
doing
or
2, you know what I mean?
We're doing 2 buildings one day, 2
You
buildings
join in,
another day.
you plan.
But I mean,
those
is it
things
just
in the
one
evening.
meeting
You don't.
per the whole
But the
building?
evening one.
Yes.
You're not giving 2
No.
options?
No,
So there's 4 building sessions and the evening session, so we got 5 sessions.
So their PLC time will be
what's
going to
that?
this meeting? Their PLC time will be going to this meeting, is that what I'm hearing? If they're at 7:15 in the morning?
It depends on which day it is. I mean,
Well,
there's
but there's PLCs,
They'll work
All
around,
week.
they'll work around it. All I know is the principals are telling them they have to be there.
well
It
then,
could be their staff meeting.
Could be that staff meeting for that week.
We're
There you
micromanaging.
go. I'd like to see
want to
that
make sure
there.
that all staff has the opportunity to be there. And if I have to be in 2 meetings, I can't be at both. So if
There's
you wanna
only
include
one
staff-
meeting those days,
Okay. Okay,
so.
good. Thank you.
You bet, good luck.
Anything else? Other comments, thoughts, ideas? Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
We are adjourned.